I got asked one really good question yesterday. Had the press conference and everything like that. Got asked one really good question, and it came on Twitter, actually, from someone who didn't get to ask a question at the press conference, since the press conference was focused on whatever the press conference was focused on. So Blake, at Blake Harris TVLA, says on Twitter, had my hand up during the press conference, but this local blogger is at the bottom of the list. All good. I was going to ask Trevor Bauer about the significance of a female agent signing the largest AAV contract in MLB history and how it can inspire young women everywhere. And I thought that was a fantastic question. I wish that would have been asked during the conference itself. So I wanted to take time to actually answer it. The first thing I wanted to talk about, though, is a little bit of Luba Sports model and why I decided to switch to Luba Sports. Most agencies charge 4%, 5%, sometimes even more of the contract size of the player. So if a player signs for $1 million, they charge 5%. If a player signs for $40 million, they charge 5%. But the amount of service that they provide is the same because they're negotiating the contract. That's the service they provide. So because performance dictates the contract size, Rachel decided to start her agency based on the premise that the athlete should pay for the service that they're actually getting, not their performance on the field. The athlete's performance on the field is their doing, and so they should be rewarded for that. The act of negotiating the contract is the agent's doing, and they should be paid for the work that they did. So Rachel and Luba Sports charges an hourly model, similar to how a lawyer would charge. So Luba Sports agents have an hourly rate, and they charge that for the hours that they actually invest in the player on their behalf. It's a really novel model. It's not something that's done very much in the agency world. I would guess that probably 98% of agencies or higher charge a percentage model. But I don't think that's the best way to do things, and this is why Luba Sports appealed to me so much, because for me, I may want certain services that another player doesn't want. I may want less services than another player wants. And with one model, with the current model out there in the agency world, to charge a flat percentage for an all-inclusive. So it's like, hey, we charge 5%, we'll do your financial planning, we'll do your investment planning, we'll do blah, 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 marketing, all this different stuff. For players that don't want that, they're still paying 5%. And for players that do want that, the incentive is not there for the agent to actually provide that good of service, because they're not making their money based on the services, the financial services they provide, or the marketing services or anything like that. They're making their money based on negotiating the player's contract, which is mostly dictated by the player's performance on the field. So in an age of hyper-personalized training programs, everyone has a different lifting program, everyone has a different throwing program, everyone has a different swing maintenance program and hitting coach and all this stuff, and it's personalized to what the athlete feels is best for them at that time in their career. It made so much sense to me to go to an agency model that is personalized. So I pay for the service of contract negotiation. I end up paying way, way less than I would have at 5%. $40 million in 1 year for a salary, 5% of that is $2 million. I'll pay much, much less to Luba Sports, like drastically less to Luba Sports than I would to any other agency model. That allows me to go find the people that are best for me in marketing, in financial planning, in investment planning, in business development, anything like that. So I end up paying for the things that I want at the time in my career that I want them. When I first came in the league, I didn't want marketing. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to play baseball, but I was paying 5%. At the point when I wanted marketing and I wanted business development and stuff like that, I was still paying 5%, and the service that I was getting wasn't the best that there was. So Luba Sports model makes a ton of sense, and I wanted to go over that because I didn't switch to Luba Sports because Rachel is a female. I switched to Luba Sports because the service that she offers is just much better, in my opinion, than the current service that's out there. It just so happens that she's a female, and to me, I don't view people as men or women like in a business sense. I look at what job can you do? What is your skill set? Are you able to do the job better than anybody else that's out there? And in this case, the answer is yes. So if Rachel's a man, a woman, or an alien, or a dog, or whatever, like, it doesn't matter to me. I feel like she has the best service. Now, some people have argued in the past that, oh, well, she's inexperienced, she's never negotiated a contract before, blah, blah, blah. You'd get more, the reason you would pay 5% to another agency is because they will get you a higher contract and they have experience, and so it's worth paying more because they're better negotiators. Hard to argue that now, given that Rachel negotiated the highest AAV contract in baseball history. Actually, I guess on a technicality, it's not the highest AAV because of year 3 being like 17 million or whatever it is that, in partnership with the Dodgers and everything like that, we made something work. But I'll be the highest paid player in baseball for the next 2 years. And it's hard to argue that anyone else would have negotiated a better contract for me, given that it's never been done. So to answer that part of the question, like, I didn't switch to Luba Sports because Rachel's a female. I switched because the service that she offers is just that much better, in my opinion, than the service that is offered elsewhere. It just so happens that she's a female. And I hope, to answer the second part of your question, what it can do for women, young women and young girls, and, kind of giving them something to aspire to, it would be my hope that a couple things happen. One, Rachel does things differently. She does things differently with her business, but she also does things differently on social media and embracing her feminine side and trying to show young women that you don't have to fit a certain look or a certain mold in order to be successful in an industry primarily dominated by men. She embraces her feminine side. She's at times sexual. She's whatever she does, but she's also very successful at what she does and very good on the business side. So I would hope that one of the outcomes is that young women can see that there's many different paths. You don't have to just go down one path. I think Luba Sports proves that in a lot of ways. You don't have to go down the same path of the services that are offered. You don't have to try to compete exactly with what the services that are out there currently are. You can do things differently. You can also do things differently from how you look, from how you interact on Twitter, from how you spend time with people, or whatever the case is. Like, you can do things differently. You can create your own mold. But also, I would hope that it shows that women can provide the exact same value or more value, and they should be able to do so. I hope it inspires young women to try to do that, to break into male-dominated industries. I think we've seen a lot of that recently. I mean, we've seen hitting coaches, women who are now hitting coaches that made it to the big leagues. We've seen female coaches in the NFL, in NBA. A female just refed or was an official at the Super Bowl for the first time ever. And so we're starting to see this message get across that, women, if you're interested in sports, you can do whatever you want in sports. And hopefully that's kind of the message that comes across. And one of the outcomes of me being represented by Luba Sports is that women can do things how they want and succeed in a male-dominated industry, and young women can aspire to do so. So hopefully that answers your question. I think the main takeaways for me, if I had to give like a 2-second answer, is I switched to Luba Sports not because Rachel's a female, but because she offers a much better service. It just so happens that she is a female, and hopefully the fact that she is a female and offers a much better service can inspire the next generation of women to attempt to do the same thing and crack into whatever industry they want to crack into, regardless of who it's dominated by currently. So hopefully that answers your question, and talk soon.